Prabhuji, we'll start with the Kirtan and we'll go into the session, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. End of.
Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. Mane re aanande bhai, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Bol Hari Bol, janam sukhe Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. बोल हरि बोल मानव जन्म पाए भाई बोल हरि बोल 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 सुखे ताको दुखे ताको बोल हरि बोल 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 संपदे विपदे भाई बोल हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल ताको वाने ताको बोल हरि बोल संसारे ताकी बोल हरि Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol. Chari Bhai Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. Vaishnava charane podi bol hari bol, 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 bol hari bol. Gaura Nityananda bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Nityananda bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Nityananda bolo bol hari bol. Bol hari bol. Bol hari bol. Bol hari bol. Gaurav Gadadhara bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Gadadhara bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Gadadhara bolo bol hari bol. Bol hari bol, bol hari bol, bol hari bol. Gaura Advaita bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Advaita bolo bol hari bol. Gaura Advaita bolo bol hari bol. Bol hari bol, 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 bol hari bol. माने रे आनंद भाई बोल हरि बोल. जन्मे जनन सुखे बोल हरि बोल. मानव जन्मे पाए भाई बोल हरि बोल. सुखे ताको दुखे ताको बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, 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 बोल हरि बोल. संपदे विपदे भाई बोल हरि बोल. सुखे ताको वाने ताको बोल हरि बोल. कृष्णा रे संसारे ताकी बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, 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 बोल हरि बोल. अच्छा संदेशारी भाई बोल हरि बोल. वैष्णव चरणे पोड़ी बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. गौर नित्यानंद बोलो बोल हरि बोल. गौर गदाधर बोलो बोल हरि बोल. गौराद्वैता बोलो बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धश्च ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं स्वजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विसे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दीताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नम ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा प्रभुजी एंड माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा दसराज प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा महेश प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा दसराज प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
प्रभुजी हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभुजी।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mahalingamaya Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Dasraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I just open this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Matajis. Thanks for joining this session on the Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Guru, His Grace Lilananda Prabhu, and also His Grace Praveen Prabhu for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to speak something very little which I know about Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially this very first session of mine, and on the very auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima. So I'm so excited that it is a wonderful opportunity, and Swayam Krishna would have given this opportunity to me is what I strongly believe. So I'm sure having the first session and starting on this auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima is not at all a small thing as far as I am concerned. So once again, I would like to humbly thank Lilananda Prabhuji for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk about something which I know on Bhagavatam on this auspicious day. So
let's welcome Prabhu Sri Lord Haribol. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
Haribol, Haribol.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So talking about Bhagavatam is something which I am not at all qualified, and especially with all the senior devotees around, probably I'm the most junior devotee in this our entire satsang, and I've just started. So I think I am not at all qualified to talk about Bhagavatam. But as per the instruction of our Guru, so I thought we will just try and talk something. But if I do any mistakes in this flow, please forgive me, and please do not hesitate to correct me. That is my humble request to all of you. There is probably nothing that I could explain to you which you don't know about Bhagavatam, and definitely there is nothing that I know which you don't know. So with that, probably I would like to start this session. So Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam is what I have selected, which I want to talk about on this auspicious day, which is a Bhadra Purnima special. Right? So there is a beautiful relationship between Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhadra Purnima. So I'm sure all of you know that relation because we have been working on the Bhadra Purnima special book distribution of Bhagavatam, and it goes like this. Praustapadyam Paurnamasyam Hema Simha Samanvitaham Dadatiyo Bhagavatam Sayati Paramam Gati. So Praustapadyam means the month of this Bhadra or Bhadrapada, where we are currently. Paurnamasyam is basically on the full moon day, which is again today. So on this day of Bhadra Purnima, anybody who places Bhagavatam on the golden throne, Hema Simha Samanvitam, Dadhatiyo Bhagavatam, and gives a Bhagavatam or donates a Bhagavatam, Sayati Paramam Gati. That means they will attain the supreme transcendental abode. So the supreme transcendental abode is nothing but Krishna's abode, which is Goloka Vrinda. So this is the explanation. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So that's the beauty of and the auspiciousness of Bhadra Purnima, which is today, and the beautiful relationship in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhadra Purnima. So now the question arises, understand Bhadra Purnima is a special day, but why only Srimad Bhagavatam? Why it can't be any other scriptures, right? Why it has to be only Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So here I would like to talk about few things. Probably all of us are aware. All of us are aware that what is the importance and significance of Bhagavatam. Probably it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, and it is a nectar of all the scriptures and the best Purana, and probably gives a very good natural narration of Vedanta Sutra, and it is spoken by the Lord himself, right? But probably I actually wanted to take few points to explain about why Bhagavatam is so important, probably to explain the very evident certain points, right? Before going there, probably what I want to also discuss a couple of things on. It has a beautiful history. First of all, we need to understand before going into the Bhagavatam, what is the history of Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam has a very, very beautiful history of how it is written, how it is spoken, and how it is heard. Very, very, very well explained, right? So if we look at how it is written by Veda Vyasdev and spoken by Sukdev Goswami, heard by Parikshit Maharaj. We all know that, right? Now, these three famous or noble personalities, I want to take probably a couple of minutes to explain what is the significance of these three noble personalities with the meaning of their names, right? To start with, Veda Vyas Dev. So Veda means with. So with that knowledge, he has actually. Hare Krishna, somebody wants to say something? Okay. So Ved means with in Sanskrit. So with is what it resembles, and how with that great knowledge, Veda Vyasji has divided the Vedas. Vyasa. Vyasa means mathematically it is the diameter which actually cuts a circle, right? In Sanskrit, basically, if you look at Vyasa, mathematically in English it is known as diameter. So if you take a circle and then you draw a line in between, that's called diameter, which divides the circle into two parts. So that particular diameter or a single straight line is called Vyasa. So why it is called Vyasa? There are two reasons which Asher has explained why it is called Vyasa, or why that name is given to Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva ji very, very nicely has divided the entire Vedas into equal parts, 4 parts, which is like a single line in between the circle, like a diameter. Very wonderfully, very nicely he has divided. So that is one of the reasons why it is called Vyasa, because he actually divided that line between the Vedas. Before Veda Vyasji, all the Vedas are one. So there are no 4 Vedas. Only after him, when he written, the Vedas are divided into equal parts. So as he divided into the equal parts, that name of the Vyasa is. And the second reason what it is explained. If you look at the circle, right, there is the diameter in between, which is called Vyasa, as I explained, one half to it and the other half to it. So the one half, it's kind of 2 semicircles, one semicircle and the other side is a different semicircle. So this particular semicircle, one half of the circle, is the material world where we unfortunate people live. This is one side. And the other side is Lord Krishna's abode, which is Goloka. And this line exactly in between resembles a bridge. So with the scriptures that he is given, other side of the circle where we are, take the line as a bridge and cross to the other side to go back to Lord Krishna. So that is the reason that the line is made, and that is exactly called Vyasa, right? So, and Dev, which is definitely a godly name or a saintly name we use for anyone. So that's the reason the name is given to him, Veda Vyas Dev. So that is with him. Second thing, who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam? It's Shukdev Goswami. We all know that. What is the meaning of his name? Shuk in Sanskrit means parrot. And Srimad Bhagavatam itself is considered as a ripened mango. Very, very fruity, delicious mango, juicy mango. And when a parrot, as the Shuk calls in Sanskrit as parrot, known as parrot in Sanskrit. So when the parrot naturally comes and puts its beak into the mango, and with the saliva of the parrot mixing into the fruit, as such a delicious fruit, with the saliva of the parrot mixed into that mango, the fruit becomes more and more delicious and richer. Right? In the same way, as Srimad Bhagavatam itself is considered as a ripened mango, when it comes out of the mouth of Shukadev Goswami with his transcendental nature and his experience, it becomes more and more delicious for us to take that nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the reason he is called Shukadev Goswami. And if we have to talk about Shukadev Goswami a bit, he is completely different. Shukadev Goswami never believed that he actually is from this world. He never believed that. So he's a Digambar. What is Digambar? Basically, Digambar means he wears all the sides as clothes. Basically, he does not have any clothes. That's the reason he's called Digambar. Right? And third thing is Parikshit Maharaj. So what does the name Parikshit means exactly? Parikshit means somebody who examines or experiences. Right? So what did he examine or what did he experience? So there is a small story before we actually go into the subject. Right? So Parikshit Maharaj, he experienced or examined something which is very unusual. So there is a story behind it. When he was in the womb of his mother, Uttara, the person called Ashwadama shot an arrow at her, which is called Brahmastra. It is just not as any normal arrow. It is very, very powerful arrow, which is considered to compared to a present generation nuclear bomb. It is that powerful, right? He shot that arrow at Uttara's womb to kill Parikshit Maharaj, who is inside Uttara's womb, basically, right? And Uttara being very noble lady at that point of time, and she is the wife of Abhimanyu, and the daughter-in-law of Arjuna himself. So Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu, Abhimanyu's wife is Uttara, and Abhimanyu's and Uttara's son is Parikshit Maharaj. And Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna and Subhadra Devi, right? And being Prabhuji?
Okay.
मुझे पता है मैं तुम्हें बता रहा हूँ मुझे नहीं चाहिए
So your words have no meaning.
Praveen Prabhu, can you mute everyone, Prabhu, please?
Yeah, Praveen Prabhu, you can mute everyone. Okay, let's cut it. Sorry for that. So when it was shot, the arrow was shot at Uttara. She prayed to Lord Krishna. She prayed to Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna, with so much of humble, the affection towards his devotee, he actually, in the form of a thumb, he entered into the womb of Uttara, right? So it is explained very beautifully in Bhagavatam that Krishna has two faces when he entered into the womb of Uttara. So one face is actually facing Brahmastra or Ashwadama, which is very ferocious, right? And the other side, he's facing towards Parikshit Maharaj with a smile on his face, because he is like playing with a kid. So how do we play with a kid usually, right? He's having that kind of smile on his face. And Parikshit Maharaj is so fortunate that he could actually feel the transcendental presence of Sri Krishna right when he is in the womb, even before coming into this world. Right? He started examining, he started experiencing Lord Krishna. That's the reason he is called Parikshit Maharaj. Right? And there is a story why Bhagavatam was spoken. Right? So that everybody knows about that, I'm sure. But probably next few minutes, I will just give you a very brief, quickly, about this story. So Parikshit Maharaj went into the forest for hunting one of the days. And he was actually going, and he went into one of the ashrams. Right? And there, Samikrishi Rishi is in a deep transcendental meditation. He's happily meditating there. He's not at all bothered what is happening in this material world. Right? Parikshit Maharaj got offended because Samikrishi Rishi did not welcome him into his ashram. So for some reason, he got very offended. So he wanted to teach him kind of a lesson. So what he did, he picked up a dead snake with a bow, which he's carrying, or arrow, which he's carrying, and garlanded it around Samik Rishi, who is in a deep transcendental meditation. And even after that, Samik Rishi did not respond at all because he is not bothered. He did not even know what's happening around. See, he is in a deep transcendental meditation, right? So he is in his own world. He's just meditating. But his 5 years old son, Shringi, who saw this, he got very, very angry. He took the holy water and cursed Parikshit Maharaj that the same similar kind of a snake which he used to insult his father will come and bite, and Parikshit Maharaj will die in 7 days. That's the curse he is given, right? And Parikshit Maharaj was, at that point of time, he was devastated, right? He understood his mistake, but again, there is nothing much he could do because the curse is already given. So he accepted it. He accepted it, and that's the time where in those 7 days, Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj did not worry about his death. After understanding what is the essence of life, the true value of life, after reading Bhagavatam or hearing the Bhagavatam, he happily left his body and went back. Right. So that's the fundamental importance of Bhagavatam. Right. So again, as I said, there are a lot of things that we can talk about Bhagavatam, and probably such a great scripture, and it is spoken by Lord himself, right, and all those things. But given the interest of the time, I would like to talk about 3 basic points which hits very, very hard and very evident when it comes to the importance of Bhagavatam. Probably it explains the significance of Bhagavatam very clearly, right? So number 1, what I want to talk about is incarnation of the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijapiham. Right? Which means whenever there is a decrease in the religious activities, I will descend upon to this earth and revive them. Krishna himself said that, right? And Bhagavatam is the exact example for that statement. Right? Bhagavatam has descended into this world when there is a decrease in the religious activities. People are really not bothered. And that's the time where it is descended into this world to make people understand what is the importance of relationship with the God, what is the importance of dharma, what is the importance of religious activities, right? And one of the very clear statements which are the shlokas which explains in Bhagavatam is Savaipumsam paro dharma yatho bhaktir adokshaji ahaitvuki apratihata yayatmam supratita, which says, Bhagavatam says this very clearly, out of all the dharmas which is available, the only dharma humans should have is to establish the connection between them and the God, Jivatma and Paramatma. So that is the kind of explanation which Bhagavatam gives, and that's the reason it is considered as an incarnation of the Supreme Lord himself. And this statement which I made is supported by this shloka in Bhagavatam directly. First canto, 3rd chapter and 40th shloka. Idam Bhagavatam nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakar Bhagavan Rishiki Nishreyasaya Lokasya Danyam Swasti Ayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Prabhujis and Matajis, we have 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, 108 Upanishads, Itihasas, Vedanta Sutras, lot of things. But where does, in Kali Yuga, today's world, a human has time to go through all these things? That's the reason Bhagavatam is essence of all these Vedantic scriptures. And as said by His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, even if all the scriptures are washed away in a floods, there is no problem as long as Bhagavatam is intact. And that's the statement made by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. which means Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedic scriptures. Right? We'll go to the next one. It is considered as a torchbearer. So why it is a torchbearer? After the return of Krishna, Lord Krishna to his transcendental abode, or after his disappearance, there is a kind of vacuum which is created in this world, right? Because there is no leader who can actually explain how one should live a life or lead a life, right? And religious activities are decreasing day by day, right? With the advent of Kali Yuga, right? And with the influence of Kali Yuga. So, the devotional services, spiritual activities are decreasing day by day, right? And that's exactly the time where Bhagavatam has advented into this world and shown us a great ray of life in the form of a torchbearer, right? And I was actually going through one of the articles where I happened to read Srila Prabhupada actually visited, if I remember correctly, it must be Germany or somewhere in the European countries, and to one of the temples. And that day, there's a Bhagavatam book distribution happening in that temple. Everybody were busy, right? People are running here and there, taking books and distributing, coming back, giving the counts and again taking back and all this. Srila Prabhupada was very excited looking at all these things. So one young Mataji who happened to have a great opportunity to meet Srila Prabhupada in person, and she was talking to him. And Srila Prabhupada asked her, what are you doing today? So she said, Prabhupada, I'm distributing your books. Prabhupada got very excited. He said, oh, wow, wonderful. So what books are you distributing? Then she said, Prabhupada, we are distributing Bhagavatam sets. So Prabhupada was more excited hearing that they're distributing the Bhagavatam sets. Then he asked, what are you explaining to the people when you're distributing the books? And then the Mataji replied, Prabhupada, we are explaining about your shloka, which is in Canto 1, right? Which talks about Bhagavatam is Swayam Krishna, right? And then Srila Prabhupada got more excited and he opened the Bhagavatam, that particular shloka, and he showed it to that Mataji and explained. The shloka goes like this. Krishnespādamo bhagate dharma gnanadibhihi saha kalau nasta trisham esa purana karo dunoditaha. Srila Prabhupada opened and read this shloka and explained to that Mataji. This Bhagavata Purana is a brilliant as sun, and it has risen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. The persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get the light from this Purana. Right? So that's exactly, happened. That's the reason this Bhagavatam is considered as a torchbearer, which provides us a light in the darkness of this materialistic world. The next one is a hope. There's a beautiful shloka in 11th canto and 9th chapter, 29th shloka, 11.9.29, which says, Labdva sudurlabhuvidam bahusambhavante manushya marthata manitya mapiha dhiraha turunam yatetana patedanu mrityuhu yavat nishreyasaya vishayaha kalu sarpahashyet. Right? So this shloka literally translates, this human life is given after so many cycles, after so many life, births and death cycles, and it is the rarest of the rarest opportunity. And a known person should put this human life in the service of the Lord, not to have any materialistic gains. Put this life into the service of the Lord, and finally go back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna. So that's the essence of this particular shloka, and that is taken from Bhagavatam. So that's the reason Bhagavatam acts as a hope to all of us, for anybody who's struggling in the miseries and darkness of this world, and helps us as a boat to cross this ocean and finally reach the eternal abode of Sri Krishna. So apart from this shloka which I have given it to you, this shloka from Bhagavatam also supports this statement, which is from the 12th canto, 4th chapter and 40th shloka. Samsara sindhum ati dustaram utirrisor nanyaha plavo bhagavataha purushottamasya lila katharasa nisevanam antarena pumso bhaved vivida dukkha davarditasya for a person who is suffering in the fire of a countless miseries and who desires to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence, there is no suitable boat except that of cultivating devotion to the transcendental taste for the narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastime. So which scriptures can explain the Supreme Personality of Godhead's, Krishna's pastimes, more sweeter and more religious than Bhagavatam? No scripture can explain. Very, very sweetly explains in the form of stories. That's the beauty of Bhagavatam. Even the layman in the today's world can read it as good as a story. Even the children can understand the pastimes of Krishna, which are narrated in the form of stories in Bhagavatam, which is the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the reason it acts as a hope for the entire mankind. And when we talk about hope, Prabhuji and Mataji, probably one thing which I want to tell here. Scriptures like Bhagavatam are definitely acts as a hope and something that we need to read on a day-to-day basis, irrespective of what is our moods and all those things, right? But a lot of people say that, oh no, Prabhuji, we don't have time, we are stuck in our lives, right? There is so much that is going on, right? We don't have, financial stability, we are struggling, there is no job, this, and there are a lot of problems which they explain. But one thing which we will have to realize, Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken to Parikshit Maharaj by Shukdev Goswami, not when he was happy. It was actually spoken to him when he was struggling and when he was about to die. He knows that he is going to die in 7 days. And that's the time where Bhagavatam was spoken. For that matter, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it was spoken by Sri Krishna to Arjuna, not when he was happy. It was spoken in the middle of a battlefield when Arjuna was confused. He's miserable. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to kill his own family members, his grandfathers, brothers, guru, a lot of people around. He didn't want to fight against them. But that's the time where Krishna has given him that knowledge. He explained about what is the cycle of life and death. He explained about what is the duty of, or probably a karma. He explained about how one should actually perform the duties, right? And then he made Arjuna realize and ordered him to fight for the sake of that. A lot of people misrepresented certain shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, especially very famous shloka, Karmanya Vyadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Katachana. So in this materialistic world, there are a lot of people actually misrepresent this shloka. So they say, whatever we will have to do because it is our karma. Right? It is our karma. Karmanya Vyadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Katachana. Sri Krishna told, perform your duty, perform your karma. Therefore, we are doing it. So that they support their statement because they feel they misrepresent the scriptures basically. They feel whatever they think and whatever they understood is right. Right? So they say, Prabhuji, but we are doing our karma. We are working. We are working for 18 hours in Microsoft. We are working for 16 hours in Wipro. We are working for so many hours. We are doing that. We are doing this. We are taking care of our family. Right? We are doing that. Of course, taking care of family is there. There is no doubt. Taking care of working is also there. But not working for 20 hours in Microsoft is karma. No, Krishna didn't say that. Because people don't understand and they don't want to go into the second line. They only want to see Karmanye Vyadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana. They don't want to read Ma Karma Phala Hetur Bhurma Te Sangyospa Karmani. They don't want to do that. Because there Krishna says, whatever you do it in my name and leave the results to me. That they don't want to do. How will 20 hours working in Microsoft help in doing something in the name of Krishna? Did Krishna say that? No. We will have to work only for the certain amount of time or probably till we can survive and run our family, and then rest of the time we should put in the service of the Lord. So people basically misrepresent it. Right? So coming back to our topic, right? So as a hope, these two wonderful scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita were spoken when these two great souls, Arjuna and Parikshit Maharaj, were in a lot of misery, a lot of difficulties. And it showed them a hope on how they can lead a life, how they can survive Okay, so that's the reason Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita are considered as the greatest scriptures of all the modern age. And coincidentally, if you look at it, both of these scriptures are spoken to these noble souls from the same family. Right? So Bhagavatam is spoken to Parikshit Maharaj, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita is spoken to Arjuna, whose grandfather and grandchild Dio. Right? So from the same family. So fortunate souls they are, right? Lord Krishna, Swayam Krishna have spoken these two things to both of them. So now the next point. So when we talk about these things, when we explain about these things to the layman, right? Probably somebody who's at a very early age of devotional service, right? They'll say, Prabhuji, all these things are fine. We agree. There is no doubt about that, right? So it is incarnation of Lord Krishna, and this is the torchbearer, and it gives a lot of hope to life. But all those are fine, Prabhuji. Those are all futuristic approaches. But what are we going to gain from Bhagavatam in our present scenario? How are we going to gain by reading Bhagavatam? You're saying we should read Bhagavatam every day. It should be as a habit, like how we get up in the morning and brush our teeth, take bath, and eat, sleep, go to work, and all those things. Bhagavatam should also be part of our everyday life. So at least few slokas every day. Prabhuji, all those things are good. But how is it going to benefit us, or how is Bhagavatam going to help us in our daily activities? So that's probably a couple of things which I want to highlight in this particular scenario. So futuristic versus present approach, right? So Bhagavatam talks not only about philosophy, but also about the science and technology. In today's world, Prabhujis and Matajis, so-called philosophers, scientists, doctors, surgeons, they search on something which is already told in Bhagavatam. There is nothing new. So if you actually look at in today's world, there is nothing new that these so-called noble people are searching or getting Nobel prizes, that which is not told in Bhagavatam or any of the scriptures or Vedic scriptures, right? Nothing is being told by them, right? So they only conduct a research which is already searched in our Vedic scriptures. That is the reason it is called research. Research means searching which is already searched. So that's the reason it is called a research. So we will see few examples. In the interest of the time, again, I want to limit it to few examples. So about what Bhagavatam talks about the science and technology, right? Number 1, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Text 2 to Text 25, Kapila Muni's explanation about the growth of human fetus in the womb, right? Kapila Muni explains the entire movement of the human life or the growth of the human fetus in the womb, right? In the 3rd canto to his mother, Devahuti, right? And it is explained very, very beautifully, starting from a sperm entering from a man to woman, and then what happens every month wise, and eventually what happens. So it is explained. Eventually, the sperm enters into the mother's womb and settles down. In the womb, which is like a packet of a urine, blood, pus, right? And the fetus starts growing there inside the womb. And as a result of the urine, blood, and pus, there are microorganisms inside, right? The skin of the baby or the fetus inside is just being formed, right? And the microorganisms are biting the skin, right? And as a result of craving, mother eats all variety of food, right? Sweetish food, salty, pungent, mirchi, bitter. She eats everything. That's a motherly love again. And as a part of that, there is pain on the skin. Just a small wound, Prabhujis and Matajis, just try to put some mirchi powder and rub on that. How will you feel? Right? And the skin is just being formed in the womb. And mother is eating mirchi. Right? There is an immense suffer inside the womb. Right? Pitch darkness. Hang upside down. Don't know what's going on. Microorganisms biting. Right? There's a burn sensation on the skin because of the food. Right? Smell all over in the packet of a urine, right? That's the time where the fetus or the soul inside prays to Lord Krishna. Krishna, I am sorry. I did a mistake by asking you that I wanted to go into this materialistic world. Please allow me to get out of this suffering. I will use this opportunity to take shelter of your lotus feet, and then I will come back to your eternal abode. I will not, or I don't want to be in this materialistic world. With a lot of mercy, obviously, Krishna, he will have a lot of mercy on his devotees, or for that matter, non-devotees also, right? So he allows the baby to come out of, and with the influence of Maya, we forget everything, and we are happy enjoying our senses and indulge completely in the sense gratification. That's called Maya. So we simply forget. And this entire science, how a baby is grown or how a fetus is grown inside the mother womb, is explained in Bhagavatam 5,000 years back. And when Western scientists who have actually researched on this, they were astonished looking at this science. They were wondering, where did this information come from? Right? Till the recent past, probably what, I think it's about 40, 50 years, not more than that. We don't even have technology to understand how a fetus grows inside the womb of a mother, or maybe 100 years, not more than that. We don't have the technology. But Bhagavatam explains this 5,000 years back. And in fact, in the scripture, they are explained, it is not difficult to understand the qualities of a baby, even before it is born. Qualities, how is it? Right? It is not that difficult. The scriptures explains this. Right? And the scientists were astonished looking at this science. But nothing will come out. All this Vedic knowledge will be buried, because we don't do marketing, they do marketing. That's the only difference. Right? We believe in the Vedic culture, Vedic scriptures believe in explaining or giving this transcendental knowledge to everyone, but not to showcase. But the Western world believes in whatever they have, they market it very, very well. So that's the only difference between us and them. Right? And next thing, Canto 2 explains the process of creation. Even till the recent past, why recent past, even till date, we do not have the overall picture what's going on in this universe. Forget about universe. We don't even know lot of secrets in regard to our own planet of Earth. We don't even know. There are a lot of secrets that we don't even know what is available in the crust of the Earth till the recent past. Right? Why talk about outside the Earth, planets, other planets, right? Our solar system, sun, right? Outside the solar system, galaxies, Milky Way, our own galaxy, our own Milky Way, we know nothing about it. Right? Till the recent days, people never believed when Bhagavatam explained that there are living entities on the sun. And the scriptures explain that there are cities, there are living entities living on sun. Nobody could believe it. They thought it's all trashed. Till the recent past, where the scientists discovered there is a bacteria living in the fire. Bacteria is not destroyed in the fire. There is certain style of bacteria. And our scriptures explained all this wonderful knowledge thousands of years back. How the creation is made, right? Very, very beautifully. But nobody wants to talk about these things because there is no scientific proof as such. And so that's very unfortunate. Next thing, what I want to talk about is life of a grihastha. In Canto 10, chapter 70, in Bhagavatam explains the daily activities of Lord Krishna. Very, very beautifully explained, right? The daily activities of Lord Krishna in Dwaraka, basically, right? So it explains that, Krishna used to raise early in the morning, even before, in the Brahma Muhurta, right? So he used to take bath in the holy water, dress up himself, starting from the lower body to the upper body, and he used to perform all prescribed rituals, even before the dawn, right? Beginning with worshipping, even before the dawn. After, he used to offer oblations into the sacred fire, even before the sunrise, right? And then he used to chant Gayatri Mantra every day morning, right? Worship the rising sun, Sandhya Vandanam. Krishna used to do this every day and used to worship demigods, sages, forefathers, who are apparently all his expansions, right? Whoever it is, it's all Krishna's expansion. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattaha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhavisamanvitaha. This is, everything is coming out of me, everything will go back to me. So even all of them who he is actually praying or offering his obeisances to, though all of them are his expansions, he still did that because he want to set an example to how a grihastha should lead his life. Right? He used to worship elders and brahmanas. Right? And it is so beautifully explained in Bhagavatam, Canto 10, in this chapter 70, that Krishna used to donate peaceful and tamed cows to brahmanas every day, whose horns are plated with gold. He is just not, Vishnu Purana says, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Right? So he is the well-wisher of the brahmanas and cows. It is not just mere sloka. Krishna is applying it practically and showing it to the world that he is performing prayers, or he's treating brahmanas with respect. He's treating cows with respect and offering the cows to brahmanas. And Bhagavatam explains Krishna used to donate every day 13,084 cows to the learned brahmanas. It's an everyday ritual for Lord Krishna in Dwarka. And after that, his chariot used to be ready, and he used to board the chariot and go to the assembly. So Bhagavatam explains when he goes to the assembly and he sits on his throne, he was compared like a lion in the group of a men. So he used to look like that, it seems. Such a wonderful description. And it is also explained that Krishna used to appear like a moon amidst so many stars. Right? Very, very well, very, very nicely explained in Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada. So such a great explanations in Bhagavatam about the Krishna's activities and life of. So this is the perfect life how a grihastha should lead, right? And we should all be very, very humble and thanks to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada for giving us such instructions on how to lead a life. We are actually, to some extent, following all these things in our daily life. Not everybody are fortunate. Not everybody got those instructions to follow this grihastha's life in a day-to-day activity, which is explained in scriptures and followed by Krishna, Swayam Krishna himself. We are very, very fortunate, and we should continue to do this. So isn't it something which is useful for us in our daily life of a grihastha, as explained in Bhagavatam? Why are we talking about futuristic or past approaches? Present, is life of grihastha not useful for our daily activity? How a person should lead a noble life as explained in our Vedic scriptures? Definitely yes. Right? And the next thing, unfavorable association. Canto 9, chapter 14 and Canto 11, chapter 26 explains about Aila Gita. Right? So this episode primarily explains about how one can have, or how probably it will result with an unfavorable association, basically. In spite of somebody being very noble person, very learned scholar, great person with great knowledge and all those things, but how an unfavorable association can pull him down, and how a favorable association of devotees and satsangis can help to elevate to the next level and help to progress more in the spiritual journey and the devotional journey. Right? So I'll take you through this particular story or the episode of Aila Gita. So there is this king called King Aila or Pururava. Right? He is actually the 4th generation in Lord Brahma's lineage. So Lord Brahma's son is Arti, Arti's son is Soma, Soma's son is Buddha, Buddha's son is Aila. So he's a 4th generation person in that lineage. So Arti's son Soma was very powerful. So he conquered the entire earth. With that pride, nobody can defeat him. Nobody could defeat him at that point of time. So with that pride, Soma actually went and kidnapped Bruhaspati's wife, Tara. And there was war broken up and everybody is fighting because of this. And finally, Lord Brahma had to intervene and take back, took back Tara from from Soma's hands, and he actually gave Tara to Bruhaspati. So that episode is over. But Tara was already impregnated by Soma by that time. She was carrying a son, and that's where she delivered to Buddha. And Buddha married to a lady called Ila. And they gave a birth to a son called Aila. That's the reason he's called King Aila, or the other name is King Pururava. He was a very learned scholar, very noble person, very knowledgeable person, right? And he was the king for the entire earth, very powerful, right? He has everything that one can think of, any king can think of, right? Urvashi, she got attracted towards the beauty of King Aila, and she came and proposed to King Aila that she want to be with him for some time, right? And she was very, very clear. Urvashi was very clear with her instructions. She definitely want to spend some time with Aila, King Aila, but eventually she will leave him and go. It is not permanent, right? So in spite of being a great personality and learned scholar, King Aila also got attracted to Urvashi's beauty, and he agreed with her proposal. So they spent days, weeks, months, years together, days and nights, only in enjoying the sexual pleasures, nothing else. So he forgot everything. He forgot what kind of a person he is. He forgot that he was a king. He had to rule this entire earth. A lot of things. He forgot everything, and they were only enjoying in the sexual pleasures, irrespective of day and time. Even in the evenings, any wrong times, they were only enjoying. There is nothing else. So it is only, Bhagavatam explains that this is a pure lust that they had between both of them. So King Aila was also so attracted eventually to Urvashi, so he could not even think of living without Urvashi. So one fine day, as she told very clearly earlier, she left. She told him and she left. So King Aila could not take the separation of Urvashi. He was annoyed. He was going everywhere like a madman. Eventually, after some time, he found her in the land of Kurukshetra, and he pleaded her to stay with him. But Urvashi did not agree. But she said, I will do it on one condition, that I will come to you for one night in a year. Only one night in a year. So she said, he thought, Are Baba, okay, anything, something is better than nothing. Chalo, theek hai, aa jao. Right? So they again, same thing continued for a few years. They enjoyed the sexual pleasures, nothing else. And on one of the night, when Urvashi came to Aila, King Aila, so when she was actually going, he could not take that separation anymore, and he actually pleaded her to stay back. So then Urvashi explained him that, this is not the life, this is not the essence of the life. She explained King Aila to take the shelter of the god, and then she left. It is explained in Bhagavatam that when Urvashi is leaving, King Aila was so devastated. He was running naked behind her like a madman. Look at the kind of king he was. And where did this unfavorable association got him to, and how he fell down? He was running around like a madman without clothes, naked behind her. And later on, he went to realize that, what did I do? Right? And he went to compare that somebody who's attracted to a woman or a man, for that matter, to the just a body or the skin or the meat, are no less than just worms. And then he's given some instructions. What should we do? Right? How should we lead a life? How should we take the shelter of the god? Right? And he sang. He sung all these instructions in the form of a song, and that's called Aila Gita, because it is a song. It is in the form of a song, right? And he took the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and finally Krishna was very happy with him, and he showered his mercy on King Aila. So this particular episode explains not only about the unfavorable association, but also about the lust, which is one of the anarthas. Right? Very, very importantly, this is one of the unfortunate situation that the present society is facing, and Bhagavatam gives us a solution to it. Is it not something which is more applicable for the present society? Definitely yes. Third thing which I want to talk about is anger management. Very famous, everybody knows. Daksha Yagna, Canto 4, Chapter 2 explains about how Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Daksha was a great Prajapati. He was one of the Manus. Very learned person, very scholarful, very highly knowledgeable person. But what happened? Just because Lord Shiva did not wish him, right? When he was entering into an assembly, he got offended, he got angry. And in spite of being such a noble and a knowledgeable person and understanding what is the position, transcendental position of Lord Shiva, he still got offended. And where did that anger took him? Right? He said, he cursed him, I am not going to invite you. Right? I'm not going to invite you for the yajna that I will be performing. He did not invite Lord Shiva. Right? And then Sati Devi, because Daksha is her own father and Lord Shiva's father-in-law. Right? Look at this, look at his thinking process. Right? In spite of understanding what is the transcendental position of Lord Shiva, in spite of knowing that he's his own son-in-law, this is what he's done. Right? Sati Devi, in spite of Shiva warning her and telling her not to go, out of the parental affection, she actually attended to Daksha Yagna, though she was not invited. Even her husband was not invited. Right? She attended. And she was insulted badly by the entire family members. And she could not take that insult. And she offered herself into the fire and left the body. Shiva was absolutely angry when he heard this news. Right? And he was dancing in that anger, holding Sati Devi's body. And his incarnation, Lord Veerabhadra, with all the Pramadaganas, all his army came and created ruckus in the place where the yajna was going on. Lot of people are killed. Daksha himself was killed by Veerabhadra. And after that, all of you know that story where he's given the goat head and he pleaded for mercy and all those things. Right? And Lord Shiva was taking the Sati Devi's body and dancing. Finally, Lord Krishna had to intervene with the Sudarshan Chakra. He cut the body of Sati Devi into pieces, and wherever the body pieces were fallen, today we call them as Ashtadhara Shakti Pitas. A lot of us visit those places, such holy places. Right? Simple thing. If he would have just thought, why should I curse him? Why should I feel bad about it? That is fine. Just because Shiva did not get up and say good morning, sir, or good evening, sir, he did this. Why? And this is exactly Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter explains. Jyaito Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, Kamat Krodha Vijayate. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Shruti Vibramaha, Shruti Vamshat Buddhinasho, Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Explains very clearly. Step by step, what happens when you have a thought, then it goes to Kama, then it goes to Krodha, and finally you will fall down. Pranashyati. You're done. You're fit for nothing. Right? But when somebody takes the shelter of the Lord, in the following shloka 2.64, it is explained: Raga Dvesha Vibhuktaistu Vishayan Indriyesha Atma Vasya Videyatma Prasadam Madhikachyati. Lord will be pleased and he will shower his mercy. Prasadam Madhikachyati. How? Raga Dvesha Vimuktaistu. So you'll have to give up your likes and dislikes, your anger, your pride and everything, and be servant of a servant of a servant. Then Lord will be pleased. Simple things. Daksha would have just thought, but he never thought about those things. So if he would have controlled his anger, little bit of anger, then the entire episode would have not happened. He would have not offended Lord Shiva. He would have not lost his own daughter. He would have he killed himself technically, because Lord Veerabhadra came and killed him. Right? So all of these things have happened. He killed his own self. So little bit of anger management would have actually controlled all this. So is it not something which is useful for us in a daily activity or daily life? Bhagavatam explains this. Such important. Very, very important. So all these things which we're talking about, it could be science, it could be technology, or it could be life of a gruhastha, it could be unfavorable association or lust, it could be anger management, which Bhagavatam is explaining us, is useful to us in our daily activity. It is not only futuristic approach. Every day, how a man or a woman should lead a life. It explains very, very clearly. Right? Takeaways. I think we have come to the final slide of this. So takeaways from this. Number one, life skills. As we were discussing, Bhagavatam explains lot of skills lot of life skills. It could be anger management. It could be how should you control your lust? How should you control your pride? I just gave few examples in the interest of the time. But if we start talking about Bhagavatam, years and years will not be enough. So it explains life skills, how a person should lead a life. It's not a mere mythology. A lot of people think any of our scriptures, for that matter, not only Bhagavatam, any of the scriptures, they think, mythology, where is the scientific evidence? Are Baba, forget about scientific evidence, keep it aside for some time. But what is wrong in taking something good? For example, we spoke about Aila Gita, which talks about how somebody should control lust and what will be the result if we are not able to control our lust. Such a great king like King Aila has fallen down so much. Right? He has no deficiency of anything, but he's fallen down just because of lust. Right? So why to talk about mythology? Take something which is good in that episode or story and implement it, right? Oh, we already spoke, right? Such a great hope Bhagavatam gives us for all of us, for the entire humankind, which is struggling in this ocean of miseries. Bhagavatam is the only hope. As a boat, it helps us to cross this ocean and finally go back to Lord Krishna. Right? Practical application, very, very important. Prabhuji and Mataji is probably one thing which I want to talk about, this practical application. People who actually try and learn something about Srimad Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad Gita or any of these Vedic scriptures for that matter, understanding the importance and how a person should lead a life or anything for that matter, there is no benefit if we are not practically giving a practical application to it. Right? An ignorant person who does not want to learn all these things, right? They're still fine because they're ignorant. They will again fall in the cycle of this birth and death, and we don't know when they will self-realize. So we will leave them aside for some time. But at least people like us, if we are learning all these things and we are understanding all these things and we are not able to practically apply, in my opinion, I think we are doing much more offense than somebody who does not have any of this knowledge and ignorant. They're anyway ignorant is ignorant. They're stupid. So let them be like that. But people who are learning at least should practically apply this in our day-to-day life. Something like, Krishna's daily activities, right? Anything for that matter. Anger management, lust management, pride management, anything, right? We should actually apply it in our day-to-day activity, and then finally get liberated from this cycle of birth and death and go back to God Krishna. Right? And such scriptures provide entertainment, enrichment, and enlightenment. Right? Entertainment to ears, enrichment to mind. Right? Because when we hear such beautiful pastimes of Krishna, they're so beautiful how Krishna has spent time in Vrindavan with Srimati Radharani, right? And with his all association, friends all over playing around. Such beautiful, sweet stories in Vrindavan, right? Very, very entertaining to ears, right? And very, very enriching, refreshment to the mind and enlightenment to our heart. So eventually, we should just not look at these pastimes like an entertainment or in an enrichment angle, but we also need to consider and get enlightenment of ourselves. So our heart should be enlightened from all these things. So that's the ultimate goal of any of our scriptures. It could be Vedas, Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, or whatever it is. The ultimate goal of all these Vedic scriptures is to understand who is Krishna, who is God, and then finally go back to his transcendental abode. There's nothing more that is required. Just understand who is Krishna and then finally go back to Lord Krishna. With this, we would like to conclude this session. Thank you very much. And I once again, I would like to sincerely thank His Grace Lilananda Prabhuji and His Grace Praveen Prabhuji for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Please forgive me if I've spoken anything wrong unknowingly. And I would request all of you who are seniors to me and who are my gurus, all of you here, please correct if I've spoken anything wrong. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for your wonderful class, Prabhuji. It's very crisp and clear. The entire Bhagavatam is explained in this. Thank you so much.
I'm not, I'm not at all qualified to explain entire Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. I only did small bit which I could try and do.
Dasraj Prabhu ki Jai Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Prabhuji. Really, Prabhuji, there are a couple of things which I'm hearing for the first time, and it was really enlightening, Prabhuji. And to the takeaways from me, Prabhuji, the definition what you have given for Vyasa and the meaning of word Vyasa, and you have properly dissected the complete name and what is the spiritual significance of that name. That was really good to know, Prabhuji. I'm hearing for the first time, and thanks for that, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dasraj Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Wonderful session, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. There are so many takeaways for me, Prabhuji. And the Aila thing which you have mentioned, even I don't know anything about that, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. It's very nice, Prabhuji. You almost gave the summary of entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, please.
Wonderful
Not at all,
session.
Prabhuji. Not at all. Where is Bhagavatam and where am I? How can I explain the entire summary of Bhagavatam? Not at all.
No, but you have covered some very important points,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Wonderful session, Prabhuji.
I am glad.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam.
Pranam,
Prabhuji,
Pranam, Lilananda
very,
Prabhuji.
very grateful. Prabhuji, first of all, all our guru is Srila Prabhupada, and we all have learned whatever little that we have is because of His divine grace, His mercy. And I'm so excited seeing you. And I was really praying. I took my phone and showed it to Radha Gopi Vallabha. I said, this preacher, you have to bless him and make him inspire thousands and thousands of fallen souls. And I really prayed, and I'm still praying for everyone. In fact, in this satsang, that we all have been given a very rare opportunity, right? And we all should make it our goal of life that we preach Bhagavatam, we sell Bhagavatam, we lead, the lifestyle, as you said, of a Bhagavata. At least try to follow their footsteps, right? So it's a very nice session on a very apt day. I'm really grateful to Praveen Prabhu for scheduling such nicely the perfect timing. Your first session and first session in this body, by the way. and today being Bhadra Purnima, my only humble request to all the devotees on the call is participate, don't give up. Sky is the limit when we have enthusiasm, and when Krishna sees enthusiasm, he sends all his blessings, right? So not only today, but even for every marathon every year. See, it's not great that we achieve some marathon, some great results one particular year. That anybody can do. Anybody, mode of passion, just go ahead and achieve something. But the real test is how much are you repeating it? How much are you doing it year on year? Year on year is love. A single year is passion. You can even say lust, that you just did it and you liked it and you got it, and whatever praises that you wanted to get, you got it and it's over. But love repeats. Love doesn't stop, right? Year on year, we continue the same, and we try to serve Srila Prabhupada, and we improve year on year, more than that. So last year we did, I think, 242, something like that, right? We are at 210 now. 32 have to pass, 32 have to pass. So we are, I'm going to start calling now. Hopefully, I still have a few rounds to finish. I'll do that, and I'll start calling now. I request everybody of you to also call. Give this fortune to everybody. Look at that verse, what it is saying. Anybody. It is saying anybody. It's not even saying you have to have some qualification. Anybody who gives a Bhagavatam on this day, of this falling moon, right? I mean, Bhadra Purnima, gets to get into the spiritual world. Just think about it. If you really go by the faith and the scriptures, it's such a fortunate day, right? And so many misfortune people are outside. They have everything and they have nothing. Everything they have is temporary. We want to give them something permanent. So just now we heard beautiful class about Bhagavatam. Now, after we know what is Bhagavatam, how can we stop it from giving it to others? Call your bosses, call your colleagues, call everybody, call your neighbors, right? And our job is to call, right? And I'm sharing you. I'll tell you what I speak, if it helps. When I call somebody, I say that, see, I'm trying to serve God and I'm stuck, I need some help. Say, yes, Prabhu, what do you want? I tell them, see, I wanted to distribute Bhagavatams. We wanted to distribute Bhagavatams to so many temples, and I don't have enough donors. It's a great opportunity, that somebody can give Shastra Dan, which is greater even than Annadan, right? And, so if you would want to help me in this mission, if you want to be participative, you want to do your part, please come forward. Or you can encourage somebody else. And I have received mixed responses, of course. Somebody said, no, we already did. Somebody said, oh, we're not interested. But somebody also said, yes, Prabhu, I am with you. Let me do my part, right? So that yes, Prabhu might come once in 20 times. 19 times is humbling. 28 times is ecstasy, right? So every time it comes, it feels, a good reason to be, to still be on this planet, be alive, be happy in spiritual life, right? So let's go ahead and call everybody and tell them how fortunate today is. Maybe they don't even know what fortune means. Maybe they don't even know what Bhagavatam means. They don't even know what Vedas mean. But it's our duty to tell them that today is the day. So why don't you go ahead and take it, right? Take it for yourself or give it for a temple. And the rest is Krishna's mercy, right? Krishna's mercy. So that's how I'm already grateful to every single devotee who has sacrificed his resources, time, effort, so much from him to help this mission year on year. Year on year, we have been distributing Bhagavatams. What are we going to take, when we are leaving, right? I mean, we all will remember these calls, right? On the deathbed, if you remember this call that we are having about distributing Bhagavatam, how to do it, which temple, we'll go back to Godhead. That's all. Krishna consciousness. Just be conscious. So that's just one thing I wanted to ask. Coming back to your class, this Aila Gita, I think it is divided in two parts, right? In Bhagavatam, it's been a long time I read this.
Yes, Prabhuji. In 9th canto and 14th canto, I believe.
No, not 14.
I think it's just a minute. It's in 9th canto and 11th canto, Prabhuji.
Something like that. Because what happened, I remember, the first part of Aila Gita ends where Urvashi says she's going to live with this king and they live. That's all. It ends there. And and a lot of devotees during Prabhupada time, I want to share this, during Prabhupada time, they, every Bhagavatam chapter is to come out like a release, right? So Prabhupada used to translate one chapter of Bhagavatam in one canto, and wherever he is around the world, a booklet of the chapter would get released to the entire, all the temples. And everybody would be so eager to read it, it's just like, like people, mundane people, they're eager about Friday first show, right? Something like that. When this book would come out, and everybody is like, oh, this chapter of Prabhupada has come out. So it is, when Brahmachari Prabhuji was explaining, I heard this many years back, that Prabhuji was explaining that when they got this chapter of Aila Gita, the first part, where Urvashi and King Aila, they decided to stay together, and the chapter stopped there. And then all of them were wondering, what kind of Bhagavatam lesson is this? Right? This heavenly, heavenly woman is associating with this king, and the chapter stops. What lesson are we supposed to hear? So there was a whole talk, in many parts of ISKCON around the world where devotees were confused. What is going to happen next? Until the next chapter came, where actually King Aila got frustrated, and then he took blessings of Supreme Lord and he got liberated, from the whole shackles. So there is a suspense also that Bhagavatam creates. It starts with something, it stops there, and then you hear it later. It's not like a continuous chapter. It's not like you finish with 1, 2, 3, and Aila, gets liberated. I don't know why Sukadeva Goswami chose to, speak it like that. So I was remembering. Yeah, it's this one only, right? It gets divided into two.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
I
Thank you.
went through the second canto first. I mean, the second part of it first. Then I did not understand what is it, where is the suspense, and what is the story. Then when I did the research, then I could see that it is in the ninth canto. So
It's second and ninth canto.
ninth and 11th, Prabhuji. First part is in the ninth canto. Second
Yeah.
part is in the 11th canto.
Okay. So I kind of remember it's a
First
little.
part in the ninth canto explains about all the succession of Lord Brahma and Arti and all those things, the story, till, as you said, Urvashi decides to stay with King Aila. And then the second part comes in 11th canto.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. Have a wonderful rest of the day and many such enlivening classes. Please always prepare. This is my appeal to everyone, including myself. Please always prepare for the class before you give the class. It's very important. We should never feel that we are qualified to give without preparation, without hearing from senior devotees. ISKCON is a wonderful institution where there are wonderful senior sannyasis and devotees. We don't have to create anything new. There is already given. Of course, we can add some examples and make it more appealing and acceptable. But we are very fortunate. And in this Gachibowli Satsang, there are many more new, devotees who are taking up the preaching service. And I'm really grateful to them that they're sacrificing their time and giving this time for Prabhupada. And I'm hoping to see many more start giving the Bhagavatam classes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dandavatana. Vancha kalpatarupascha kripasindobhyacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo ananta koti vaishnavadanga ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hitai Gaura Hari Premanande. Hari Bo. Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.